Today's video is proudly sponsored by Skillshare. Hold up, check this out. This is what I'm referring to when I talk about land hacking.
430 square foot grain silo converted to a tiny house. Let's go check it out.
Now, every day people are getting more and more creative converting spaces that were not originally designed to be lived in by humans. Like our friend Eder with his $13,000 garden shed and my very own $5,000 containers that were originally used to bring microchips to the States. Or today's video breakdown on $7,000 silos that used to store grain. Yeah, you heard me right. These things. Now, if you end up liking today's video, be sure to register for my free live webinar Saturday, December 2nd at 9 a.m. Pacific time. I'll be going over how we do similar unique build-outs and how we're approaching the short-term rental market in 2024 with less of a cookie-cutter rental approach, but more unique and experience-based rentals. Come learn, network, ask your questions. We're limited to the first 500 signups. Registration link just down below. Go blow it up. I've been making videos on land hacking projects, including my own, for years now, where people are legit leaving their 9-to-5 jobs and living in paradise by creating unique stays indoors in rural and remote areas outside of cities. And it's changing people's lives, both as a host and the guests. Now, these unique types of homes right here can be built in less time than standard homes, but they're quite often made of completely recycled materials and cost a fraction of typical builds. Yet, they make more money in rent per door than super seasoned traditional real estate investments like apartments. And that has attracted a lot of attention. Now, Airbnb has stirred up a lot of controversy, big failures, along with massive success stories. Now, I've noticed a new era of Airbnb every few years, and we are in the midst of another major shift with unique stays and high-end experiences. And with each shift, there will be a lot of losers, but also a lot of winners. Now, you can be one of them if you follow carefully. Welcome back to the Breakdown series, where I use nearly 2 decades of knowledge and experience as a builder, developer, and real estate investor to dig into the nitty-gritty of some of the most unique homes on the planet, but more importantly, the economics of said homes, to reveal how much it costs to build them, as well as how much their owners are making off of them. So Levi Kelly is one of the YouTube greats. We actually stayed and did a video on the same container home in Washington earlier this year, and he was kind enough to share some of this footage with me. And today, I'm using more of his footage. Levi, please don't copyright claim me. Go watch his channel. He's an awesome creator. Now, during our breakdowns, it comes down to 3 key parts. I call the how much questions. How much is the land? How much is construction? And how much can it make me? These 3 questions combined can tell us if something is a worthy investment or not. So let's answer the first question. How much will the land cost me? So when you think of Montana, you think big sky country, snow, and bears. You also may think cheap land, which is true in most of Montana. But apparently in this area of Montana, we've got some pretty strong pricing. Now, a quick peek on Zillow, and we can see acreage going for a few $100,000 to even some in the millions of dollars. Now, we know that the farm with the 5 silos is on 20 acres. And I found some acreage as low as $300,000. And it's as high as 1.2, 1.9 million plus. And some of them are much larger right on the lake. Now, land here isn't what I'd call cheap. I'll assume that that has something to do with all the natural attractions in the area, pulling in visitors, new families looking to settle down in this wildly beautiful frontier of Montana. So I would earmark at least a cool $500,000 to acquire some land or secured land with a home on it, which would be ideal. But mileage will vary depending on the exact location and size of land. Time to look at the cost of building one of these things. Next question, how much is construction? Now, funny enough, I was actually just working with a client of mine who's planning on adding a few silos on her own property this week, so things are a bit fresh in my mind. But to help me out, I asked my business school classmate, my general contractor on this current land hack that I'm sitting on right now, and a very good friend, Nick. So overall, what are your thoughts?
Good, simple build, especially for rentals. I like the concrete. I like the look. I like the open floor plan like that because the air breathes through.
Yep.
So that's smart. I would never put wood countertop for the reason you said. My concern would be if you're putting that in a rental, people beating up on the wood, or you've got to maintain it.
Okay, now what stands out to you the most in this whole thing?
I like saying concrete. I'm just very partial to it.
Okay.
Super functional, looks great, looks better the more beat up it gets. And it's for rental property in particular, hard surface is always the way to go.
Agreed.
There's going to be snow tracked in, that's the right move.
Yep.
I do like the open wood ceiling, both for air and this is so white gray. And that's what everybody's doing these days.
It warms it up.
That gives it color and warmth. Yeah, I really like that. I do, despite not being my style, I like the metal tubes on the stairs for support reasons. A lot of times you see these floating stairs and they start to get loose.
Right.
Because they don't have this. So on the bathroom, I'd want to know more what's on that outer wall. I can't imagine that's uninsulated. That just, imagine taking a shower in here.
It's freezing.
It would be freezing, right? So that's probably just, they replicated it on the inside. This is a really cute bathroom. The only problem is for functionality, there's nowhere to put stuff, especially women who have makeup and other things. So
You put this little shelf right here.
yeah, but
Yeah.
you
I
know,
hear what you're
people like countertop space.
Now, you're probably thinking that this silo thing is a pretty sweet idea and that you'd love to one day own or build something like it and finally leave your day job far behind you, which is all very possible. And now you already know that I run a coaching and learning program that I call the Land Hacker. But did you know that I also work very hard to develop my own personal skills and discovering new ways of learning new things? That's when I started using Skillshare. And I've got a free month membership for 500 of you to try them out and see if you enjoy discovering new classes like I do. They literally have dozens of classes with a wide variety of topics from graphic design, photography, animation, entrepreneurship, how to manage your money and personal finance, and what I'm most interested in, film and video and creative writing. Out of all the classes I've taken in my life, I unfortunately skipped over the film and creative writing side of things, and now my whole life seems to revolve around just that. So now I'm taking a few classes on how to tell a story, or better story, and even taking notes and learning from one of the YouTube greats, Marquise Brownlee. Yep, MKHD, who has over 13 million subscribers, maybe even more, has a Skillshare class teaching how he built his YouTube empire, and I'm all about learning from him. And actually, a lot of my script work in this very video came from Skillshare and Marquise's class. And that's one of the things that I love most about Skillshare. They have creative, career-focused classes to help you level up your career or even start a new side hustle. And if you're like me, click on the link in the description below and take advantage of an entire free month to watch literally all the free classes that you want. Thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video.
If I was going to build a bunch of these, I think this is a good way to do it.
Okay. So 80 to 100. You think 5 of them, could you average out to 80,000 a piece?
You'd get some economy of scale for sure.
Because your crew is familiar with it, they'll start to
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And especially if they're all this, I mean, listen, build them all the same and change the color on each wall. And that enough would be, I mean, you would know if that enough to make them each unique. My only comment would have been spend more on the countertop for long-term. Other than that, this is as simple as it gets.
Yeah. Now, there's one thing that I would kind of give them a little check minus on is right here. If you pause right here, as you see, they have that
The floor unit.
They don't have a built-in heat pump.
I agree with that. A little wall-mounted unit would be so much better. It looks good.
Cool. So your overall grade?
B plus, A minus. I don't know. I think it's pretty good for what it is. It's good.
Okay, so Nick and I actually came really close in our estimates. I do think if you DIY'd something like this, you could get away building it for $50,000 to $70,000. But a ballpark cost of $100,000 is where we're both settling in at. Now that may sound like a lot for a silo home, but it's actually less than if you were to build a traditional home. And you'll see in a second why this is a far better cash flow investment. In a time where Airbnb is getting so much publicity from influencers touting how easy it is to make an extra $20,000 a month without owning property and investing very little money of your own has sent people flocking into the STR market.
Here's how my friend makes a ton of money on Airbnb without owning a single property.
This is a partial truth, but mostly a lie. And it has completely blown up the real estate market or markets in practically every city, leading to harsh crackdowns on STRs. But to every story, there's a silver lining. Now, most investors targeted cities and looked for the quote-unquote easy money, which led to a sea of Airbnb listings popping up literally next to one another. Thousands, tens of thousands. Now, this created an opening in more rural and remote markets where competition wasn't as fierce, pricing wasn't as high, and regulations not as tight. leading us to our last and final question: how much can we make? So using a few of my data aggregator platforms, I found that they've been listed for about 2.5 years, these silos, and they're averaging almost $300 a night. Right now, it's a little bit lower because we're getting into the off season. And their occupancy is about 66%, okay? Now that gives us, if we do the rough math on that, that's gonna be roughly $60,000 a year. Not too bad. Multiply that by 5 silos and we get just over 300,000. Now, of course, there's seasonality and everything like that, so it's gonna fluctuate quite a bit, but we can definitely say that they're making well into their 6 figures every single year off these 5 silos. That is like a neuroscientist's salary off of silos, used recycled silos. Now, looking up the cost of a grain silo, we see that they can range anywhere between $4,000 to $51,000 at the largest, or I guess in this size range. But I do know in a lot of areas you can get grain silos at heavy discounts or even for free if you just transport them off of a property. Of course, these are used. Now, looking at these ones and knowing that they're about 450 square feet, I'm thinking that they have one of these $10,000 ones where it's 24 foot in diameter and roughly 19-20 feet in height. Now, I'm gonna assume that it's gonna be about approximately $100,000 to build out each one of these investments. It's probably less expensive than that once you get the utilities there. But once you start looking at the numbers, you're looking at a return of the initial investment in the first 18 months. I'd call that a home run. And looking at the map, you can start to see how well the grain silos are actually performing compared to all the others in the area, outperforming direct competitors by 2 to 3 times, sometimes even higher at 4 to 5x. Now, there's 3 ways that the owners could have funded this land hack project. 1, cash is the simplest, of course. HELOC or cash out refi on the property or another home, or 3rd, some sort of fixed rate loan, construction loan, that type of thing. Now, either way, if it was an all cash deal, their gross revenues are averaging somewhere between $20,000 to $25,000 a month. And if it's any type of a loan product, they're looking at probably only a $4,000 to $5,000 in loan servicing each month, assuming they got these loans 2-3 years ago when they first started, leaving very healthy margins of approximately $20,000 a month. Now, here's the brilliance of a land hack like this. They most likely live or operate this farm, meaning the land and the main home, probably this place here in the distance, is already in use. They already have this land and this property. So these new doors are all supplemental and most likely cover every single expense of owning the entire property and more. Now, the general rule of thumb, when you do your analysis correctly, your first unique rental door should get your property to break even. And then every door after that should be pure cash flows. Assuming each grading silo makes, let's just say, $60,000 a year, I'll assume that the farm, mortgage, interest, taxes, and insurance is most likely somewhere around $5,000 a month, give or take maybe $1,000 or so. Add in other miscellaneous expenses of the land, upkeep, maintenance, and just my projections being off, I figure that they're cash flowing anywhere between $150,000 to $200,000 a year, or between 50 to 66% margins. The other thing that they did that was a big brain move was they placed them relatively close to one another and made them all the same design, which makes it easy to scale when building and very easy to hook up to utilities in the driveway and access ways. Small word of caution though, when everything looks the same and right next to each other, you don't have a lot of uniqueness between doors, which may hurt returning guests because there's no incentive for them to trying silo 1 versus silo 5. And the close proximity significantly reduces privacy, which any of us who are traveling with our significant others or families know is not ideal.
This is definitely new. I know these people in these silos can see me do this. It's like a live audience.
Some pros and cons, but overall, I give this land hack a solid B. Come and talk to me and my team, and let's see what it will take to have you join our community and learn with me in live classes and one-on-ones. If you're not ready for that yet, I totally understand, then go download my free starter guide that includes the analysis spreadsheet. And if that's too much for you, sign up for my weekly newsletter giving you market updates, construction tips, and keeping you in the loop with vacation rental investments. All the links just down in the description. Now go watch this video on how our member Eder turned a $13,000 garden shed into $80,000 a year. Bye.